night and Merry Christmas, which is coming right around the corner. It'll be Christmas before we see one another again. So we wish you all very well, a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful spirit this year of giving and kindness and love. And, Jesus is our guru, according to Srila Prabhupada, and we adore Lord Jesus Christ. And he set an example of giving love. And then, of course, the rascals set an example of rejecting him, which is what we find in the material world. So that's kind of fitting in this chapter because we're reading the story tonight about the battle between the demigods and the demons. And this is an ongoing process in the material world, has been since its, I guess, creation. Not really a creation. It's always been here. Kala is eternal. So there's manifest and unmanifest periods. But nonetheless, this is an eternal function because there are always those who would be separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so this chapter describes that pretty well. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and start with pranams. Chant with me. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devim Gaurivani Prachadani Nirvishesha Sunivari Paschachare Shatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Jai Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th Canto, 10th chapter, the battle between the demigods and the demons. Everybody get ready to read. I'm going to read a few. But I would like to remind you from the last chapter, the situation. This was the appearance of Mohini Murti, and she cheated the demons out of the nectar because they didn't deserve it. They didn't deserve it. And she asked them right up front. She said, whatever decision I make, whether it's honest or dishonest, will you accept? And they agreed. So they definitely had to do that. Now, when this pastime was finished, the Lord left the arena and left the demigods and the demons there to kind of figure it out on their own. So it says here, the place, the time, the cause, the purpose, the activity, and the ambition were all the same for both the demigods and the demons. But the demigods achieved one result and the demons achieved another. Because the demigods are always under the shelter of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet. They could very easily drink the nectar and get its results. The demons, however, not having sought shelter at the feet of the Lord, were unable to achieve the results they desired. So in human society, there are various activities performed for the protection of one's wealth and life by one's words, one's mind, and one's actions. But they are all performed for one's personal or extended sense gratification with reference to the body. All these activities are baffled because of being separate from devotional service. But when the same activities are performed for the satisfaction of the Lord, the beneficial results are distributed to everyone, just as water poured on the root of a tree is distributed throughout the entire tree. So those were the last two verses of the last chapter. So that's brought us up to date to chapter 10, the battle between the demons, the demigods and the demons. And I'll read a few, and then everybody else chime in. Text 1, Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, the demons and the Daityas all engaged with full attention and effort in churning the ocean. But because they were not devotees of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, they were not able to drink the nectar. O king, after the Supreme Personality of Godhead had brought to completion the affairs of churning the ocean and feeding the nectar to the demigods, who are his dear devotees, he left the presence of them all and was carried by Garuda to his own abode. Seeing the victory of the demigods, the demons became intolerant of their superior opulence. Thus, they began to march towards the demigods with raised weapons. Thereafter, being enlivened because of drinking the nectar, the demigods, who were always at the shelter of the lotus feet of Narayana, used their various weapons to counterattack the demons in a fighting spirit. O king, a fierce battle on the beach of the ocean of milk ensued between the demigods and the demons. The fighting was so terrible that simply by hearing about it would make the hair on one's body stand on end. Both parties in that fight were extremely angry at heart, and in enmity they beat one another with swords, arrows, and varieties of other weapons. The thousands are the sound of conch shells, bugles, drums, berries, and damaris, kettle drums, as well as the sounds made by the elephants, horses, and soldiers, who were both on chariots and on foot, were tumultuous. On that battlefield, the charioteers fought with the opposing charioteers, the infantry soldiers with the opposing infantry, the soldiers on horseback with the opposing soldiers on horseback, and the soldiers on the backs of elephants with the enemy soldiers on elephants. In this way, the fighting took place between equals. Some soldiers fought on the backs of camels, some on the backs of elephants, some on asses, some on white-faced and red-faced monkeys, some on tigers, and some on lions. In this way, they were all engaged in fighting. O king, some soldiers fought on the back of vultures, eagles, ducks, hawk, and bassa birds. Some fought on the backs of timangillas, which can devour huge whales. Some on the backs of sabarhas, and some on buffalo, rhinoceroses, cows, bulls, jungle cows, and arunas. Others fought on the back of jackals, rats, lizards, rabbits, human beings, goats, black deer, swan, and boar. In this way, mounted on the animals of water, land, and sky, including animals with deformed bodies, both armies faced each other and went forward. O king, O descendant of Maharaj Pandu, the soldiers of both the demigods and the demons were decorated by canopies, colorful flags, and umbrellas with handles made of valuable jewels and pearls. They were further decorated by fans made of peacock feathers and by other fans also. The soldiers, their upper and lower garments waving in the breeze, naturally looked very beautiful. And in the light of the glittering sunshine, their shields, ornaments, and sharp, clean weapons appeared dazzling. Thus, the ranks of soldiers seemed like two oceans with bands of aquatics. So, what verse is that now? That's 15? No? Yeah. So, if somebody wants to start here, there's some names that are coming up in a minute. So either somebody who's conversant, like maybe Ranga Raghava, could read those names, or I will, whatever you guys want to do when you get to that. But who wants to take up next?
Well, I can if you want, since no one said. Okie dokie. Let me just start the recording. Okay. For the battle of the most celebrated commander is the chief Maharaj Bali, son of Virochana, was seated on a wonderful airplane named Vihayasa. O king, this beautiful decorated airplane had been manufactured by the demon Maya and was equipped with weapons for all types of combat. It was inconceivable and indescribable. Indeed, it was sometimes visible and sometimes not. Seated in the airplane under a beautiful protective umbrella and being fanned by the best of chamaras, Maharaj Bali, surrounded by his captains and commanders, appeared just like the moon rising in the evening, illuminating all directions. Surrounding Maharaj Bali on all sides were the commanders and captains of the demons, sitting on their respective chariots. Among them were the following demons: Namuchi, Sambara, Bana, Viprachita, Ayumukha, Dvimudha, Kalanaba, Prahiti, Heti, Lava, Sakuni, Bhutasantpa, Raja. I need to change my glasses, it's too small.
You want me to read?
Rajadamrishra, Virochana, Hayagriva, Sankushira, Kapila, Magad Don Dupi, Taraka, Chadratik, Shumba, Nishumba, Jamba, Utaka, Utkala, Aristanami, Triparadipa, Maya, the sons of Paloma, the Kaliyas, and the Nivatakavacha. All these demons had been deprived of their share of the nectar and had shared merely in the labor of churning the ocean. Now they fought against the demigods, and to encourage their armies, they made a tumultuous sound like the roaring of lions and blew loudly on conch shells. Balabit, sorry, Balabit, Lord Indra, upon seeing the situation of his ferocious rivals, became extremely angry. Thank you. Sitting on the Airavata, an elephant who could go anywhere and who holds water and wine in reserve for showering, Lord Indra looked just like the sun rising from Udayagiri, where there are reservoirs of water. Surrounding Lord Indra, King of Heaven, were the demigods seated on various types of vehicles and decorated with flags, weapons. Present among them were Vayu, Agni, Varuna, and other rulers of various planets, along with their associates. The demigods and demons came before each other and reproached one another with words piercing to the heart. Then they drew near and began fighting face to face in pairs. O king, Maharaj Bali fought with Indra, Kartikeya with Taraka, Varuna with Heti, and Mitra with Prahiti. Yamaraj fought with Kalanaba, Vishakama with Maya Danava, Twitchta with Sambaru, and the sun god with Virochana. The demigods, Aparajita, fought with Lamuchi, and the two Ashvina Kumara brothers fought with Vishapava. The sun god fought with the 100 sons of Maharaj Bali, headed by Banu, and the moon god fought with Rahu. The demigod controlling air fought with Paloma, and Shumba and Nishumba fought with the supremely powerful material energy Durga Devi, who is called Bhadrakali. O Maharaj Parikshit, suppressor of enemies, are in Dharma. Lord Shiva fought with Jamba, and Vaibhavasu fought with Mahasura. Lavala, along with his brother Vatapi, fought with the sons of Lord Brahma. Dharmasha fought with Cupid, the demon Utkala with Mitrakrita, demigoddesses, Bihishpati with Sukacharya, and Samishchara, Saturn, with Narakasura. The Maruts fought Nivata Kavacha. The Vasus fought with Kalakea demons. The Ishvideva demigods fought the Paloma demons, and the Rudras fought the Krodhavasha demons, who were victims of anger. All the demigods and demons assembled on the battlefield with a fighting spirit, attacked one another with great strength, all of them desiring victory. They fought in pairs, hitting one another with sharpened arrows, swords, and lances. They severed one another's heads using weapons like basundis, chakras, clubs, rishitis, patishas, shaktis, ulmuktas, prashas, parashvadhas, nishrimsas, lances, oh good, an English word, lances, parigas, mudgaras, and bindipalas.
I got to congratulate you on going through all those names. That was really quite wonderful, I have to
And,
tell you.
and not being able to see that well.
Yeah, there's a lot of names here that you don't see regularly, and there's also a lot of weapons that we've not heard of before.
No, it would be interesting to know all those different weapons because I like military history. So I'm into things like that. But
Yep.
I had to find that. Yeah. Shall I continue on? Does someone else want to take on? Oh, my husband wants to read. He's got his book. Here you go. Can you see him?
Am I floating today?
You should be floating over Govardhan Hill.
Text 37. The elephants, horses, chariots, charioteers, infantry soldiers, and various kinds of carriers, along with their riders, were slashed to pieces. The arms, thighs, necks, and legs of the soldiers were severed, and their flags, bows, armor, and ornaments were torn apart. Because of the impact on the ground of the legs of the demons and the demigods and the wheels of the chariots, particles of dust flew violently into the air and made a dust cloud that covered in all directions of outer space, as far as the sun. But when the particles of dust were followed by drops of blood being sprinkled all over space, the dust cloud could no longer float in the sky. In the course of the battle, the warfield became strewn with the severed heads of heroes. Their eyes were staring and their teeth still pressed against their lips in anger. Helmets and earrings were scattered from the severed heads. Similarly, many armors decorated with ornaments and clutching various weapons were strewn here and there, as were many legs and thighs, which resembled the trunks of elephants. Many headless trunks were generated on that battlefield, with weapons in their arms, those ghostly trunks which could see with the eyes of the fallen heads, attacked the enemy soldiers. Maharaj Bali then struck Indra, Maharaj Balaji,
Bali Maharaj.
yeah.
Maharaj Bali. There you go.
Yeah. Then attacked Indra with 10 arrows and attacked Airavata. Is that right?
I don't know. I can't see.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
Indra's elephant carrier elephant, with 3 arrows. With 4 arrows, he attacked the 4 horsemen guarding Airavata's legs, and with 1 arrow, he attacked the driver of the elephant. Before Bali Maharaj's arrows could reach him, Indra, king of heaven, who is expert in dealing with arrows, smiled and counterattacked with arrows and counterattacked the arrows with arrows of another type, known as
Give it your best, Dill.
Bahala, which were extremely sharp. When Bali Maharaj saw the expert military activities of Indra, he could not restrain his anger. Thus he took up another weapon, known as the Sakati, something, which blazed like the great firebrand. But Indra cut that weapon into pieces while it was still in Bali's hand. Thereafter, one by one, Bali Maharaj used the lamp, Prasa, Tomara,
Somebody might want to mute.
and other weapons. But whatever weapons he took up, Indra immediately cut them to pieces. My dear king, Bali Maharaj, then disappeared and resorted to demonistic illusions. A great mountain generated from illusion then appeared above the heads of the demigod soldiers. Better quit before I had another word in here somewhere.
You're all right. You're doing good.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Anybody else? That's text 46. Anybody want to grab that? Who we got?
I can read it.
Okay.
All right, 46. From that mountain fell trees blazing in a forest fire. Chips of stone with sharp edges like picks also fell and smashed the heads of the demigod soldiers. Scorpions, large snakes, and many other poisonous animals, as well as lions, tigers, boars, and great elephants, all began falling upon the demigod soldiers, crushing everything. O my king, many hundreds of male and female carnivorous demons, completely naked and carrying tridents in their hands, then appeared, crying the slogans, "Cut them to pieces, pierce them." Fierce clouds, harassed by strong winds, then appeared in the sky. Rumbling very gravely with the sound of thunder, they began to shower live coals.
Oh, wow.
A great devastating fire created by Bali Maharaj began burning all the soldiers of the demigods. This fire, accompanied by blasting winds, seemed as terrible as the Sangvartaka fire, which appears at the time of dissolution. Thereafter, whirlpools and sea waves, agitated by fierce blasts of wind, appeared everywhere, before everyone's vision, in a furious flood. While this magical atmosphere in the fight was being created by the invisible demons, who were expert in such illusions, the soldiers of the demigods became morose. O king, when the demigods could find no way to counteract the activities of the demons, they wholeheartedly meditated upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the creator of the universe, who then immediately appeared. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose eyes resembled the petals of a newly blossomed lotus, sat on the back of Garuda, spreading his lotus feet over Garuda's shoulders. Dressed in yellow, decorated by the ghost of a gem and the goddess of fortune, and wearing an invaluable helmet and earrings, the Supreme Lord, holding various weapons in his 8 hands, became visible to the demigods. As the dangers of a dream cease when the dreamer awakens, the illusions created by the jugglery of the demons were vanquished by the transcendental prowess of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as soon as he entered the battlefield. Indeed, simply by remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes free from all dangers. O king, when the demon Kalanemi, who was carried by a lion, saw that the Supreme Personality of Godhead carried by Garuda was on the battlefield, the demon immediately took his trident, whirled it, and discharged it at Garuda's head. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, the master of the 3 worlds, immediately caught the trident, and with the very same weapon, he killed the enemy Kalanemi, along with his carrier, the lion. Thereafter, Two very powerful demons named Mali and Sumali were killed by the Supreme Lord, who severed their heads with his disc. Then Malyavan, another demon, attacked the Lord. With his sharp club, the demon, who was roaring like a lion, attacked Garuda, the Lord of the birds, who are born from eggs. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original person, used his disc to cut off the head of that enemy also. I think that was the end of that chapter.
Yep. You could continue to read, though, in the next chapter.
Okay. Shukadev Goswami said, thereafter, by the supreme grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, all the demigods, headed by Indra and Vayu, were brought back to life. Being enlivened, the demigods began severely beating the very same demons who had defeated them before. When the most powerful Indra became angry and took his thunderbolt in hand to kill Maharaj Bali, the demons began lamenting, "Alas, alas!" Sober and tolerant and well-equipped with paraphernalia for fighting, Bali Maharaj moved before Indra on the great battlefield. King Indra, who always carries the thunderbolt in his hand, rebuked Bali Maharaj as follows. Indra said, "O rascal, as a cheater sometimes binds the eyes of a child and takes away his possessions, you are trying to defeat us by displaying some mystic power, although you know that we are the masters of all such mystic powers. Those fools and rascals who want to ascend to the upper planetary system by mystic power or mechanical means, or who endeavor to cross even the upper planets and achieve the spiritual world or liberation, I cause to be sent to the lowest region of the universe. Today, with my thunderbolt, which has hundreds of sharp edges, I, the same powerful person, shall sever your head from your body. Although you can produce so much jugglery through illusion, you are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. Now, try to exist on this battlefield with your relatives and friends." Bali Maharaj replied, "All those present on this battlefield are certainly under the influence of eternal time, and according to their prescribed activities, they are destined to receive fame, victory, defeat, and death, one after another. Seeing the movements of time, those who are cognizant of the real truth neither rejoice nor lament for different circumstances. Therefore, because you are jubilant due to your victory, you should be considered not very learned. You demigods think that your own selves are the cause of your attaining fame and victory. Because of your ignorance, saintly persons feel sorry for you. Therefore, although your words afflict the heart, we do not accept them." Shukadev Goswami said, after thus rebuking Indra, king of heaven, with sharp words, Bali Maharaj, who could subdue any other hero, drew back to his ear the arrows known as narachas and attacked Indra with these arrows. Then he again chastised Indra with strong words. Would somebody else like to read?
Yep. Who's available? Seems like we've lost Jaya Krishna. He's having a lot of bad rain down in Dominican Republic, so he probably does not have a signal. So anybody want to grab that? Text 11. Someone step up. We've got about another 40 verses.
Okay, I can read.
Yeah.
Please, thank you, Shri. Thank you.
Okay. Is it text 11?
Yes.
Okay, since Maharaja Bali's rebukes were truthful, King Indra did not at all become sorry, just as an elephant beaten by its driver's rod does not become agitated. When Indra, the defeater of enemies, realized his infallible thunderbolt scepter at Bali Maharaja with a desire to kill him, Bali Maharaja indeed fell to the ground with his airplane like a mountain with its wings cut off. When the demon Jambasura saw that his friend Bali has fallen, he appeared before Indra, the enemy, just to serve Bali Maharaja with friendly behavior. The greatly powerful Jambasura, carried by a lion, approached Indra and forcefully struck him on the shoulder with his club. He also struck Indra's elephant. Being beaten by Jambasura's club, Indra's elephant was confused and aggrieved. Thus, it touched its knees to the ground and fell unconscious. Thereafter, Matali, Indra's chariot driver, brought Indra's chariot, which was drawn by 1,000 horses. Indra then left his elephant and got onto the chariot. Appreciating Matali's service, Jambasura, the best of the demons, smiled. Nonetheless, he struck Matali in the battle with a trident of blazing fire. Although the pain was extremely severe, Matali tolerated it with great patience. Indra, however, became extremely angry at Jambasura. He struck Jambasura with his thunderbolt and thus severed his head from his body. When Narada Rishi informed Jambasura's friends and relatives that Jambasura had been killed, the three demons named Namuchi, Bala, and Paka arrived on the battlefield in great haste. Rebuking Indra with harsh, cruel words that were piercing to the heart, the demons showered him with arrows, just as torrents of rain wash a great mountain. Quickly handling the situation on the battlefield, the demon Bala put all of Indra's 1,000 horses into tribulation by simultaneously piercing them all with an equal number of arrows. Paka, another demon, attacked both the chariot with all its paraphernalia and the chariot driver, Matali, by fitting 200 arrows to his bow and releasing them all simultaneously. This was indeed a wonderful act on the battlefield. Then Namuchi, another demon, attacked Indra and injured him with 15 very powerful golden feathered arrows, which rode like a cloud full of water. Other demons covered Indra along with his chariot and chariot driver with incessant showers of arrows, just as clouds cover the sun in the rainy season. The demigods, being severely oppressed by their enemies and being unable to see Indra on the battlefield, were very anxious. Having no captain or leader, they began lamenting like traders in a wrecked vessel in the midst of ocean. Thereafter, Indra released himself from the cage of the network of arrows, appearing with his chariot, flag, horses, and chariot driver, and thus pleasing the sky, the earth, and all directions. He shone effulgently like the sun at the end of the night. Indra was bright and beautiful in the vision of everyone. When Indra, who is known as Vajradhara, the carrier of thunderbolt, saw his own soldiers so oppressed by the enemies on the battlefield, he became very angry. Thus he took up his thunderbolt to kill the enemies. O King Parikshit, King Indra used his thunderbolt to cut off the heads of both Bala and Paka in the presence of all their relatives and followers. In this way, he created a very fearful atmosphere on the battlefield. O King, when Namuchi, another demon, saw the killing of both Bala and Paka, he was full of grief and lamentation. Thus, he angrily made a great attempt to kill Indra. Being angry and roaring like a lion, the demon Namuchi took up a steel spear which was bound with bells and decorated with ornaments of gold. He loudly cried, "Now you are killed." Thus, coming before Indra to kill him, Namuchi released his weapon. O king, when Indra, king of heaven, saw this very powerful spear falling towards the ground like a blazing meteor, he immediately cut it into pieces with his arrows. Then, being very angry, he struck Namuchi's shoulder with his thunderbolt to cut off Namuchi's head. Although King Indra hurled his thunderbolt at Namuchi with great force, it could not even pierce his skin. It is very wonderful that the famed thunderbolt that had pierced the body of Vritrasura could not even slightly injure the skin of Namuchi's neck. When Indra saw the thunderbolt return from the enemy, he was very much afraid. He began to wonder whether this has happened because of some miraculous superior power. Indra thought, formerly when many mountains flying in the sky with wings would fall to the ground and kill people, I cut their wings with this same thunderbolt. Vitrasura was the essence of austerities undergone by Twasta, yet the thunderbolt killed him. Indeed, not only he, but also many other stalwart heroes whose very skin could not be injured even by all kinds of weapons, were killed by the same thunderbolt. But now, although the same thunderbolt has been released against a less important demon, it has been ineffectual. Therefore, although it was as good as a Brahmastra, it has now become useless like an ordinary rod. I shall therefore hold it no longer. Sukadeva Goswami continued, while the morose Indra was lamenting in this way, an ominous, unembodied voice said from the sky, this demon Namuchi is not to be annihilated by anything dry or moist. The voice also said, O Indra, because I had given this demon the benediction that he will never be killed by any weapon that is dry or moist, you have to think of another way to kill him. After hearing the ominous voice, Indra, with great attention, began to meditate on how to kill the demon. He then saw that foam would be the means, for it is neither moist nor dry. Thus Indra, king of heaven, severed Namuchi's head with the weapon of foam, which is neither dry nor moist. Then all the sages satisfied Indra, the exalted personality, by showering flowers and garlands upon him, almost covering him. Viswavasu, and Paravasu, the two chiefs of Gandharvas, sang in great happiness. The kettle drums of the demigods sounded and the Apsaras danced in jubilation. Vayu, Agni, Varuna, and other demigods began killing the demons who opposed them, just as lions kill deer in a forest. O king, when Lord Brahma saw the imminent total annihilation of the demons, he sent a message with Narada, who went before the demigods to make them stop fighting. The great sage Narada said, all of you demigods are protected by the arms of Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by his grace you have gotten the nectar. By the grace of Goddess of Fortune, you are glorious in every way. Therefore, please stop this fighting. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, accepting the words of Narada, the demigods gave up their anger and stopped fighting. Being praised by their followers, they returned to their heavenly planets. Following the order of Narada Muni, whatever demons remained on the battlefield took Bali Maharaja, who was in a precarious condition, to the hill known as Astagiri. There on that hill, Shukracharya brought to life all the dead demoniac soldiers who had not lost their heads, trunks, and limbs. He achieved this by his own mantra known as Samjeevani. Bali Maharaja was very experienced in universal affairs. When he regained his senses and memory by the grace of Shukracharya, he could understand everything that had happened. Therefore, although he had been defeated, he did not lament.
Wow. I don't know about you guys, but I wish Steven Spielberg or somebody would grab hold of this and do something like you saw with Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or Star Wars or on that level. If this were done that way and they built it up in the right way and showed these things with the special effects, it would be amazing. And I hope and pray that Krishna will hear my prayer that somebody with that type of uh, talent when it comes to the movies could get a hold of these stories. Now, a lot of these stories have been copied. We've seen that in the movie Avatar and other things like that. And they actually take names from these stories, and they use them in fictional ways, which, of course, there's no benefit whatsoever. I mean, it's a complete waste of time. It's a mental speculation, a concoction, a dream, an illusion. And they make these magnificent movies out of just fiction. Why wouldn't they take these actual histories and do them in that way? This is a magnificent battle scene, far beyond anything we can imagine that we might have seen in that show. What was it called? William Wallace, right? Remember that? Remember those great battles with the Scottish and the English like that? So we can only imagine what this must have been like, because Brahma, everybody was there. All the demigods were there. The Lord incarnated there and fought on the battlefield along with the demigods. So it's an amazing story. And if we could see it in its true context and understand it like we would one of these movies I've just described, I think it would be overwhelming to us. And I think it would be profound in increasing and helping society at large with their self-realization and God realization process. So if you know anybody who can do that, please encourage them, because that would be fantastic. Well, what do you guys think about these two chapters? What's your thoughts?
I was thinking, well, the amount of different animals that they're riding is extraordinary. Everything, all these different animals. Wow. As you said, it would be quite spectacular to see that on the big screen. But then the other thing I was thinking is that everyone was fighting each other on equals, and they were fighting in pairs. So one demigod would fight one demon who was equal to him. And we've lost this sort of chivalry in modern warfare. Modern warfare is more guerrilla style, and they just try and shoot as many as they can with the machine gun or something and kill everyone with all these bombs, and obviously killing all the civilians as well along with it. So no chivalry anymore. There's no warriors like that. No knights in shining armor. So I was just thinking that, on a military way, it's all very different now to what it used to be.
Yeah. Like even in the Battle of Kurkshetra, in the Battle of Kurkshetra, they would blow the conch shell for the battle to start in the morning, and they would take various breaks. And then in the evening, they'd blow the conch shell. Everybody would go do their oblations and clean the dead from the battlefield. And they fought with equals. If someone dropped their weapon, it would be shameful. It would be inglorious to attack them while they were in that position. So we see that chivalry is dead nowadays. They're killing all the women and the children. Terrorism is the main tool to try to get anyone to change their attitude. They don't go about it peacefully. They don't go about it with knowledge or with philosophy or with care or with love, or to go help people become more self-realized. Instead, they go with a sword. And they say now that you do this or you die. So this is what's happening in totalitarian worlds. This is what's happening in what we call kind of totalitarian, even religion. So we see that in the world today. And everybody is fighting for their own cause, which is separate from the Lord's cause in most cases. So in this story, it's not separate from the Lord's cause. These battles are holy wars, and they happen between good and evil in the material world. Let me ask you guys a question. Raise your hand if you want to go to the planets of demigods and fight and die like this. You want to go? I don't see anybody's hand, my hand, but I don't see anybody else's hand come up. Why would this is not a very nice situation. We think elevation to the heavenly planets, the karma kanda processes, all these ceremonies that we read and the flowery words of the Vedas and all these sacrifices and so forth meant to elevate us to higher realms of existence in the material world. Brahma Bhuvanal Loka, it's still death, it's still misery, it's still suffering, there's still envy, there's still lust, there's still greed, and we see it here, even amongst the demigods who are in the mode of goodness. We have to attain the mode of pure goodness, that's Sudasattva, that's transcendental, beyond even the mode of goodness. And that mode happens when we align our will perfectly with the will of the Lord. So what's happening here over and over and over and over again is the Lord is having to bring the demigods and the demons to their knees so they can understand that they're not supremely powerful, that they're not the doer, they're not the cause, they're not the one that is creating the environment. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in 7:15, he says, Namam duskritano mudha prapadyante naradhama. In other words, only those miscreants who are grossly foolish, they're considered to be the lowest among mankind. Their knowledge is stolen by illusion. And they partake of the atheistic nature of demons. Those are the persons who do not surrender to the Lord. So what we just read was, in the last chapter before we started this chapter, that they both churned the milk ocean. They both did the service. But the outcome for the demons was totally different than the outcome for the devotees, right? And the Lord knew that the demons did not deserve a share of the nectar. So the Lord appeared as Mohini Murti and cheated them. And she did it in a wonderful way. Actually, she said, if I cheat you, it has to be okay with you. And they said, all right. Because her beauty was so overwhelming. They did not want to disappoint her or displease her at all, and they didn't want to disturb their friendship with her. So you are correct, Rangavati. The world has gone to a situation, you might look at that when the United States decided to fight against the British and the Revolutionary War. The British were the most powerful fighting force on the planet and had conquered literally a quarter of the world or better. I mean, the sun never set on the British Empire. India was its crown jewel that they had conquered. So the idea is that the English were very proud and very sophisticated in their war effort. And so they were very nicely dressed in white and red. They had their weapons, et cetera, and so on. And they marched directly into battle fearlessly. Now, Andrew Jackson, a native North Carolina, Tennessee boy, he said, there's no way we're ever gonna defeat this powerful force. They'll just walk over the top of us. So what did he do? He went and got all the sharpshooters he could find who were hunters, and he brought them all down to New Orleans, and he set up earthworks. They built the first earthworks. And behind these earthworks, they hid back there. And in the British, when they came off the ships, they had to go across a long plain to get to these earthworks. And all of these soldiers were back there redundantly. It took a while to load a bullet into a weapon. And so they would fire, and another guy would step up who had already loaded, and then he'd go load, and he'd get back in line. And it was kind of like a machine gun, literally. And so what had happened was the British are coming with the drums, and they're doing their regalia. They look very beautiful on the battlefield, and they're coming forward like that. And Andrew Jackson tells them, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. And at that point, they were sharpshooters. They could see the whites of their eyes, and they placed the bullet very carefully. And thousands of them fell. But they kept coming until finally they were so defeated that they had to flee. I don't think any of Andrew Jackson's army was killed because they were hiding behind these earthworks. They never even got close enough to engage them in combat. So this modern warfare was created in a way because of an overwhelming force that was unconquerable. And they took the only road they had to survive. which was that guerrilla style warfare that you're talking about. So the world has lost its chivalry now. That was the last days of chivalry when the British walked into Andrew Jackson's army in New Orleans. They realized that they wouldn't be able to fight a guerrilla force like that because these people were not fighting fairly. They were not fighting with equals like we see here. They were not doing it in a regular way. Things had gotten deregulated. And now look at what that deregulation has led us to in the world. Simply lobbing bombs and killing children and women. So the fighting was so fierce that even just by hearing about it would make one's hair stand on end. So try to imagine that scene in a movie environment. That fighting where heads are being lobbed off, where trunks and arms are being strewn on the battlefield, where the dust of the battlefield had raised to the heavens and filled with droplets of blood and could no longer exist in the heavens and fell back to earth under the weight of the blood itself mixed with the dust. Can you imagine a battle like this? Can you imagine a scene like this? This is the condition the demigods go through fairly regularly. Matter of fact, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, the whole story of Ramchandra, if you look throughout the whole existence of the material world, it's nothing but a battle of good and evil. That's it. Krishna has very carefully described the demoniac in the chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, the demoniac. And he says that they are bent on the destruction of the world. They want to be supreme. Just like the demons, when the nectar was coming, they fought over it first. No, me first. No, me first, me first. Just like little children. All based on sensual desire, all based on lust, based on greed, based on jealousy, based on animosity, and then based in anger. And that is the gates to hell, and we see them opened regularly here. We see them opened regularly. And then the demigods have to go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in full surrender. And then they like in this particular situation, they all got together because they had become morose, right? Because their weapons weren't being effective against the demons. Bali Maharaj had created mountains in the sky and was dropping shards of rocks and killing all the demons, crushing the demons everywhere. Bali and the demons were winning. Bali was flying around in an airplane called Vihayasa, which was like it looked amazing. It's like these spaceships. Do you see the UFO? We're seeing all these UFOs every time you turn on Facebook now. I don't know if you guys see this on Facebook or whatever you're looking at, but everybody's filming these so-called vimanas in the sky. They're UFOs, so they're unidentified. We don't know. But in this case, this vimana that he was flying around in was amazing. It was made by the demon Maya, just like Vishvakarma. He would make these cities for these personalities too, these flying cities, literally. So they were creating illusions and they were defeating the demons. And the demigods could find no way to defeat the demons. So what did they do? They wholeheartedly meditated on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It says the word wholeheartedly. That should be an example to us. And what did God do when they did that? He appeared immediately to protect them and vanquished all of the illusions that the demons had created in this story. So if God is for you, who can be against you? But you can see in this one story, just like in the stories we've been reading, the demigods are winning a minute, and then they go, the demons start winning, and then it goes back. So it's a passion play. It really is a passion play. And there you go. They wholeheartedly meditated upon. Thank you, Rama Raghava. By the way, thank you, Rama Raghava, our new technical director. We love you. We appreciate your hard work here, bringing this to us like this. So
I'm just doing this just as a. I'm not going to take any position or anything.
You're taking a position. You've already done it. It's too late. You now are the vice president of this thing. For sure. Hey guys, so the Lord appeared on the battlefield and he vanquished all of their illusions. And at that point, oh, by the way, while the Supreme Personality Godhead was hanging out on the battlefield, he was attacked by Kalamini. And Kalamini was riding on a lion, great demon. And so he threw this weapon at the Lord, tried it. There you go. He took his trident, he whirled it, he discharged it at Garuda's head. And then the master Hari of the three worlds immediately caught the trident. And he took the same weapon and he killed Kalamini with his own weapon, and he killed his lion to boot. So you better not be attacking the Lord. I don't care if you got a lion and a trident, it's probably not going to be sufficient, right? So he was killed by his own weapon. The Lord took it from him. He also, while he was there on the battlefield, he killed Mali and Sumali, right? And other demons. You see that? And he did that with his disc, and he severed their heads. He also killed Malyavan while he was on the battlefield. So while the Lord was there, he just killed a few demons, had a big time, and then left. So he's having a good time. This is all his pastime. So in chapter 11, the King Indra annihilates the demons. They were actually winning. They were beating the demons so bad that Narada became compassionate. Narada became compassionate, and actually Brahma asked Narada to go talk to Indra and ask him, please stop the killing. You're winning so well now that that it's not working out for the whole system. I mean, in other words, they didn't want to completely annihilate the demons. So the demigods had been inspired and empowered by the appearance of the Supreme Personality Godhead, and they fought with all renewed energy. And Indra killed many of the great demons on the battlefield, including Namuchi, who had been given a boon by the Lord that he couldn't be killed by any moist or dry weapon. So he challenged. This voice came out of the sky. It's almost biblical, right? You hear this voice coming out of the sky in the Bible. You know, that's where they hear God. So the voice came out of the sky. Indra heard the voice, and it said that he had been given this boon so that if you're going to kill him, you're going to have to figure out a weapon that will actually do the job. And so he came up with a foam weapon, a weapon made of foam, which is not dry or wet, and he severed Namuchi's head from his body with a foam weapon. So see, these demons want to be smarter than Krishna. They want to be smarter than God. And it reminds you of the story we just read about Hiranyakashipu, who did all these wonderful austerities to get these boons from Lord Brahma to become immortal and to become the most powerful, the most beautiful, the most wealthy, the most wise, the most famous personality, and take the position of God. So this is the actual story. We all have come here as demons in the material world, all of us. And we have left the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the spiritual sky, in our rasa, in our eternal relationship, in our Swarup city. And we come here to take on 8,400,000 species of material bodies and try to enjoy sex life, try to become the most powerful, try to be the monarch in all species ourselves. And ultimately, well, we want to challenge the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the verses, it even says, I believe it's in, you can look this up for me if you don't mind, text 8 and text 9. This is in this chapter we're talking about. This chapter 11, text 8 and 9. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let's see. Okay. So after he was told the real truth, right? he was told him that he was going to kill him. And he said, seeing the movements of time, those who are not cognizant of the real truth neither rejoice nor lament for different circumstances. Therefore, because you are jubilant due to your victory, you should not be considered very learned. This is what he told. This is what he told Indra. He said, you demigods think that your own selves are the cause of your attaining fame and victory. But because of your ignorance, saintly persons feel sorry for you. Therefore, although your words afflict the heart, we don't accept them. We don't even accept your words. We don't even care. So then, even though they had been chastised, Indra didn't rebuttal that. If you look down, Indra says he didn't rebuttal. There it is. You went right back there. He said, because Bali's rebukes were truthful, King Indra did not at all become sorry, just as an elephant beaten by its driver's rod does not become agitated. This is cool stuff, everybody. I mean, this is so revealing to us. So the Vaishnava is the most elevated personality in all of the Mahatattva, in all of creation and material world. Because the Vaishnava doesn't want anything from God except for service. They don't want power. They don't want beauty. They don't want wealth. They don't want women. They don't want castles. They don't want any of that, right? Lord Chaitanya enunciates that. What is that? What's the verse that he says? He doesn't want women. He doesn't want money. What is that? Nadanam najanam sundaram kavitam va jagadisha kamane kamaye mama janmani janmani ishvare. Bhavatad bhaktir haitukitoi. I don't want these things. I don't want followers. I don't want money. I don't want wealth. I don't want women. I don't want power. I don't want any of it. All I want is your causeless service, life after life after life. Prahlad Maharaj set the example. He said, when he asked him, do you want a boon? He said, yeah, just free me from all material desire. Why? Look at what material desires are doing even to the demigods. Look what it's doing. What a drama. I mean, it's almost like the news at night. Oh, there's another war? Of course. Of course there's another war. What did you expect? You separated from God? Now, because your will has to overpower his will, there must be war. Even if you get to the height of Jaya and Vijaya, even if you get to the height of all of these great demons, even like Bali Maharaj, which we're going to continue in the next chapter. We're going to skip about 3 chapters and go to the Bali Maharaj story because this is a continuation of his story. But you're going to see that Bali Maharaj actually had to submit himself to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they took him off, and what did Sukracharya do? He brought all the dead demons back to life. He brought them all back. The demigods had to fight the dead demons they had just killed. He had to kill them again. So they took Bali in a compromised condition and all the demigods, and they healed everybody. And so Sukracharya had the power to do that. So just see what great powers that these great sages have, like Agastya Muni and Sukracharya, all these great acharyas and saints. They had the ability of what's called Trikalagyani. They could see the past, the present, the future. They could raise people back from the dead. All of these wonderful things. They had these mystic potencies. And Indra even boasted to the demons. He said, look, you're trying to use these images against us. We're the masters of mystic potencies. Indra can raise you from the dead. He can kill you and bring you back to life. So these powers exist in demigods. Demigods. They're not God. They have a power of God. We just read in the last chapter that when Lakshmi came to the arena, she examined everybody there to see if they had everything in full, and no one did. No one. So she accepted Mukunda because he had every power and opulence in full, and he was one without a second, and he was renounced from it all. So Guys, that's a recap of those two chapters really quickly. We're running out of time. Does anybody want to add anything to this tonight? Very good points. Appreciate your point, and Raghavati, and thank you so much, Ramaragha, for putting that up on the screen. I think it helped us all a lot tonight. So, is there any other points that you want to make about this chapter? These two chapters, because the next chapter we're going to skip about 3 chapters, and we're going to go to it's the next chapter about Bali Maharaj. So we'll see that it's a continuation there.
Chapter 15.
That's it, chapter 15. So that's the next one that we're going to be doing. And guys, I'm so grateful to you for being here. I want you to have a wonderful holiday. Take your time to chant, and read, and study. This is about the appearance of the Shaktivesh avatar, Jesus Christ, whom we adore. Srila Prabhupada made wonderful comments about Lord Jesus Christ, and we should try to follow in those footsteps. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Does anybody have anything else you want to add? If not, going once.
Can I present a short kirtan, Prabhupada kirtan, for the ending?
Please. Thank you very much. And I guess we'll sign off here whenever.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you so much, Rama Raghava. Thank you so much. Jai. See you next time, guys. Until then, Hari Bol.